Hey guys, how's it going? So yesterday I did a pretty thorough unboxing and initial review of the brand new OSIGHT C. For a link to that review, check the pinned comment. And now I'm going to show you another brand new offering. This just came out, and this is the new OSIGHT K. This is the RMSC footprint. This is for your micro compact pistols. And we're looking at a 6 MOA red dot. We're going to open this up together and take a look. And I do notice right away on the outside, this does come with the OSIGHT lifetime warranty, which is awesome. We're also going to throw in a twist here and do a little compare and contrast to the Holosun 407K. This specific one being the 407K X2 GR, meaning green. I've had this for about 4 years on my Taurus GX4. And I'm going to give my initial thoughts on both. We're going to go over everything, first impressions, and then we'll do a follow-up video out on the range because I do want to shoot these together so you guys can see my initial impressions on the range. So let's open this up, take a look. We'll go over some of the specs and do a little bit of compare and contrast because, like a lot of you, I'm a little bit more familiar with the Holosun 407K right now than this because I haven't even looked at it yet. But I will tell you, I've done about 6 reviews of the OSIGHT optics so far, and my impressions of them are awesome. So I'm really looking forward to this because every one I've opened so far and used are really nice, super clear glass, really nice reticle. So let's see what the K looks like. So typically with OSIGHT, the packaging is pretty good. We're going to take a quick look at that, see what it comes with. There we go. I can open it up. Could you imagine that? Unboxing an initial review. Look at this guy. You can't even get the cellophane off. I got it off. It just took me a minute. Alright. So right away, it's going to come with a couple little goodies here, including a little cheat sheet. This is really nice. They've been shipping this with other optics. It literally shows you how to zero it, adjust your windage and elevation right there. Like you can literally take this to the range. Talks about the torque that you're going to use for your screws. And then there's a little QR code where you can watch a little instructional video. So that's cool. I noticed they put a cool little decal sticker package. It's pretty nice as well. All right. Let's see what we have here. All right. So we have a nice closed foam packaging. Packaging looks very nice, nice and neat. And then we're going to have our accessory and goodies pack right next to it. Let's take a look here and see what we've got going. So, take a quick peek here. Initial impressions. It has a great exterior look. You guys can look at this with me. Everything's nice and clean. We can see the plus and minus buttons there. That's to adjust your brightness. It has 10 total settings. 2 of them are like for night vision or when it's dark out. All the way up to setting 10 if you're in the bright light, sunny day. Sitting in a studio like this with bright lights all the way around you. We've got adjustment here, as well as here. Now this is an open emitter sight, so we're gonna have the open emitter with just the glass here on the front. This is a nice coated glass, which just looking through the glass right now, the glass is very clean, very clear, which is what I've come to expect from these OSIGHTs. I am going to have to take this battery tray apart to remove the little protective film so we can power it on. And we are going to put this on a pistol, which I'm just going to show you in a few minutes. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. It's good to have you here. If you guys have been around for a while, you remember I have reviewed several of these OSIGHT RMSC, or I kind of like to call it the micro compact footprint because this is the prevailing footprint for these small little guns. Originally, they came out with the OSIGHT S. This was rechargeable with a cover, which would protect the optic itself, as well as a magnetic charging, where you could charge the cover here, recharge the optic 4 or 5 times, I really actually like that option quite a bit. I think it's pretty cool, innovative, no battery to change. A lot of you said, well, maybe you wanted something that just takes a regular battery, maybe something a little bit more budget. Now this did have the auto light sensing feature, as well as the motion sensing for it to automatically turn on. Then they kind of evolved to, well, here's the green version, which I also reviewed of this same exact one. Then the next evolution, and these were enclosed emitters, meaning there was glass on the rear as well, which is actually my preference for concealed carry. I'm really liking that. But we're going to go on to this new one, which is a lot more of a popular option, something more typical for a lot of you. Then the next advancement was the OSIGHT SE. We're still talking that enclosed emitter, but then they switched it up where it had a side-loading coin cell battery. And that is exactly what we're going to see here. So basically now we're going from enclosed emitter to open emitter. We still have the side-loading battery tray here, which is nice because you're not going to have to worry about taking this off of your slide, losing your zero, all of that. Here's what the bottom looks like. Everything looks pretty sealed up there, which is nice. Not going to go over this part as in-depth as I did in my previous review, but I do want to take a real quick look at what this comes with, because this stuff does actually matter. And I don't like to take for granted like what screws and tools and stuff come with it, because I've bought sights before that came with like 2 screws. They weren't the right ones, and it does get a little bit frustrating that you have to go out and source extra screws and stuff. So let's take another look here. The classic desiccant pack. This thing's in here tiger tight. There we go. So we have our little multi-tool here. That's going to get her done as far as mounting it, changing the battery. Ooh, that's kind of scary actually. Getting ready for Halloween here. Also 2 extra battery tray screws. That's nice. I literally lost one before on one of the previous models, and I was like so glad they gave me 2 extras, because that would suck to not be able to use your sight because you literally fumbled a little teeny screw that's impossible to find. Here's your owner's manual, cleaning cloth. Look, if you're new to sights, or especially this, or you just need to learn more, make sure you read this. I have found OSIGHT does include a really nice product manual that has tons of information in here. And here's what I call our little tackle box. This is going to come with 1, 2, 3, 4 types of screws, meaning when you factor in the diameter, a thread pitch, and each one of these, it appears, is going to come in a couple different lengths. Now this is good because if you think about it, so 1 length there on the number 6, but 2 lengths on the M4, number 640, and M3. Look, the height of all different optics are different. You're going to have different slides as far as sometimes they'll have a different thread pitch. Some of them actually tap and drill or thread deeper or shallower than others, so it's always good to have a nice assortment here. I like how these are organized. You can actually separate these off into individual little boxes, and these also have closed cell foam, so your screws are nicely organized, where you can just use the little picture to see what you're looking at, and you don't just have screws jiggling around. So that's actually pretty cool there. All right, well, I'm ready to do kind of a side-by-side and go over some more specs for this, but we're on YouTube, so I'm going to have to go off camera for just a second. But we do have the Holosun 407K X2 here. This is on the Taurus GX4 Toro, all right? And this is a Forge Tech holster, by the way, if any of you are wondering. I highly recommend. Links down there in the description. Not an affiliate link, nothing like that. But a good friend of mine, a local Michigan guy, made in the USA. I love their holsters, and check out my channel if you want to see more reviews on that. Also, riding in this Forge Tech holster, and you can actually get this custom 2A EDU print Kydex. It's the only place you can find it. Again, over at Forge Tech Holsters. Appendix inside the waistband. This is the Taurus GX4XL. Now, right now, this slide has a SIG Romeo 0. Bought this years ago. It was never quite my favorite sight, to be honest. It's all plastic. The battery's currently dead on it. Battery doesn't last very long. And look, here's another problem with it. The battery's on the bottom of this particular optic. So I have to take it off, meaning I could affect my zero. That's a real thing. You should re-sight it in after you take it off. I don't like that it's on the bottom. And look, it's a SIG product, Romeo 0. We're going to take this off. We're going to put the new OSIGHT K on there so we can do our initial review and comparison. And when it comes to this SIG Romeo 0 on this XL, it ends today. Alright, so I've got it all mounted up on the XL, and let's take a look at my first impressions with it on the pistol. Right away I'm noticing this fits this slide like essentially perfect. Like actually really handsome on there. I know a lot of people have the big thing where, you know, the footprint is where the screws go and where the bosses interface. But then there's like another type of footprint, meaning does it like hang way over the side of the slide? Now here's the weird thing about pistol slides. They'll have the same footprint, but some slides taper to different degrees. Some are a little bit narrower, some are a little bit wider. This is always a struggle with these, and if you've been there, sound off in the comments. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This is fitting about as close to flush, side to side, as I think you could get. So we're going to give you kind of a vantage point here. You can see the lines there right along the edge. I mean, you might be able to fit a sheet of paper of overlap, but that's kind of deceiving because we do have our rear cocking serrations there. So we'll just take a quick look. But I'll tell you what, man, depending on the angles here, it can be a little deceiving on camera. This thing's fitting about the same exact width, really, which that's definitely nice. So looking good so far there. Let me take a peek through the glass. Well, this is just like the rest of the OSIGHT that I've been reviewing. The glass is extremely clear. And look, I'm under super bright studio lighting right now. LEDs right above the camera, all the way around the ceiling here. And this is under bright light conditions. No glare. Looks great. The dot. Nice big 6 MOA dot, which is nice. You know, a lot of times you see like 3 MOA and stuff like that on a pistol. And of course, like when it's multi-reticle, that's cool because you might have the smaller dot, the circle dot, and then the circle. But this is just a single reticle here, okay? And I do think 6 MOA is a kind of a nice little sweet spot when you're talking, especially a little pistol like this. I mean, it's like, you know, okay, it would cover 6 inches at 100 yards, but are you really shooting this for accuracy at 100 yards? I mean, probably not, right? So 6 MOA is a nice thing, and the dot's very clean, very clear. I'm not seeing any star bursting. Some people have an eye condition called astigmatism, and you may. That's just kind of the nature of red dots. But for me, it's just a nice, very, very clear, clean, bright red dot. So my initial impressions of just looking through it here are excellent. So that's awesome. This does have the side loading battery tray, which is nice. We don't have to take this off to change the battery. It takes the 1632, or I'm sorry, the 1620. I kind of transposed numbers there. 1620 coin cell. I should buy stock in battery companies. All these different red dots out there, different batteries. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now let's take a look here at the Holosun. Now look, this is the Taurus GX4 9mm, all right? I've done plenty of Taurus reviews. Make sure you check out my Taurus playlist if you want to see some of that content. These are essentially the same pistol. That's why I thought this would be a pretty good, fair comparison between the two. The only difference with the XL having the longer slide and barrel, But as far as the actual frame, same thing. The width of the slides, same thing. In fact, these are interchangeable with each other if you wanted to swap out. So we are looking at the same exact footprint left to right and everything else. So these are apples to apples as far as the, comparing how the sights interact with it. We're just looking at a little bit longer barrel and slide here. And these are both excellent pistols. I enjoy them both. We would carry each one for different reasons on different occasions. So let's go over to the Holosun here. It also fits very nice. I've had this on this pistol since I got it, this GX4. It's been on here 4 years. This also has the side-loading battery tray, and this is the green dot version. So I am going to say right away, that is one thing Holosun does have. They do have where you can get the red dot or the green dot. Okay, green dot typically runs you a little bit more. As of right now, keep in mind, OSIGHT's been coming out with so many models. I think the sky's almost the limit with them, it seems like. But right now, it is available just in your standard red. Let's look at the overall look of it here. It does fit great right to left. It does fit this pistol like a glove. And in fact, these are virtually almost exactly the same size if you look at their overall dimensions between the Holosun and the OSIGHT. So as far as how they actually interface with the slide, virtually the same, except for I'm noticing a couple differences here. Look at the new OSIGHT. Look how flush these buttons are. Okay? And look how big they are. Like they literally basically, there's just twice the area to put my fingers on. Come over here to the Holosun. Fairly flush, but here's kind of the problem. And it's not a big problem because I don't think like in a self-defense situation I'm going to be having to like adjust my brightness like on the fly in the moment in a panic. However, even at the range, I've often had to stop and like it's just not very intuitive for my thumb to find the buttons here. I kind of have to stop, take a look, and see what I'm pressing. So look at the buttons here. And I don't know how much this stuff matters to you guys, but for some people, the littlest details do definitely matter. So that's why I'm trying to do just a thorough comparison here in the shop. I am planning on doing a follow-up at the range. There's some guys that are probably showing you reviews where they're just shooting the crap out of it, but they might not be going through all this, right? Battery tray. Look, this isn't like a crazy deal or anything, but let's just look at it here. The battery tray does stand proud. Okay, it is sticking out enough to notice. Has it impeded me using it? No, but if you just want to look at overall, like which one's sleeker, whereas this definitely stands proud and sticks out on the Holosun 407K, we don't have any of that going on here at all. This is 100% flush, smooth. So as far as like clean lines and ease of controls, I'm going to I'm going to give it to the OSIGHT. Now, here's another thing. And again, you guys leave comments, let me know what you think. It's like to each his own on some of this stuff, right? But one other thing with visual aesthetics, if you look at the shape of the hood portion, these are both open emitters. This is a really good comparison between these two. These are kind of in the same league as each other, just competitors, okay? If you look here, we do see a larger like hooded area or chassis, body, whatever you want to call it, where it comes back here on the OSIGHT. The Holosun's a little more demure, okay? See how it kind of ramps back and you don't have as much there? I like having that little bit extra protection. I told you right when this video started, I'm actually more of a closed emitter guy, right? But this is like a budget option. And I will note before I forget, this is about 100 bones cheaper MSRP than this. And I know there's a big sale on these for the launch. So just factor all of that in. MSRP, 100 less on the OSIGHT than the Holosun. So I don't know. You tell me which one you think looks cooler as far as the little bit different shape and design. That could go either here nor there. But one other thing, if you're looking at aesthetics, Holosun, they're giving you a billboard. And it's nothing too crazy, but it always kind of annoyed me a little bit. Just a little bit, you know. I've had this for 4 years. Just that big, bold, like, white Holosun here and here. And then even the model number is, like, in white. It's like, look, man, you know, Taurus just roll marked here and, like, a subdued. And And I don't know, if I wanted to color fill the Taurus, I would, and some of you guys are into that, but I don't know. I don't really like a big billboard of the brand of the product on the side of it. Now, OSIGHT does have their branding on there, of course, and everything pretty much has its branding roll marked or molded in, but it's black, much more subdued. So when you're really looking at it, you can clearly see it says OSIGHT here, but you don't see it from like 6 feet away. So I don't know if that matters to you or not, but even from back this far, I'm about 3 foot from the camera, this just has more of a billboard look, especially on this side. As far as the shape of them goes, like just like which one's more aesthetically pleasing, I could kind of go either way, but I do like the little bit extra protection here with the OSIGHT. I'm going to subtract the point from the Holosun for the billboard, so I'm going to give the edge to the OSIGHT as far as the general aesthetics of it. Just doing this one more time because this is brand new. I've spent a little more time with this Holosun, so I'm trying to give you initial impressions here versus something I've had for 4 years. Look, the glass is decent on the Holosun. It really is. Not bad. The dot's actually decent. I've had much worse. It's plenty good, but I can just tell the difference instantly. The glass is cleaner, clearer. Whatever reflective coating that OSIGHT's using, it seems to be doing a little better job under these bright lights. And as far as the clarity of the glass, and then the emitter slash the reticle, the actual red glowing part, is nicer on the OSIGHT than Holosun. So as far as clarity of glass and just the cleanliness of the dot, I'm going to give it to the OSIGHT. Now, I am going to, while we're on that category, I am going to move a little point over into the Holosun's category here and give it the little nod as far as the versatility of this is available in green or red. Some of you are red dot guys, so you don't care. Some people are only green. As of right this minute, that could be a deal breaker. Some of you just don't care. When you factor in the price, you may decide you want red more. There's all of that to think about. But yeah, to call a spade, that is a plus one over on the Holosun category because it does have the option of the two different colors, at least the 407K X2, which is what this is. I'm not an expert. I know there's different submodels that are available. So, yeah. They both have the same RMS, that's the Shield RMSC footprint. Now, both of them do have a little trough in the rear with the OSIGHT here. That's to kind of guide you in like a secondary rear sight, if you will. It does line up pretty decent with the iron sights on this Taurus. I will say, though, that while this does have a pretty low stance to it, right? Because that's another nice thing about having the battery off to the side. You can usually get them a little bit lower. I can pick up the front and rear sight, but that's just kind of one thing with the Tauruses. Being more of a carry pistol, they don't have real high iron sights, so I can co-witness a little bit, but not a lot. Back to the Holosun here, it's kind of the same thing. You have the little trough, kind of a secondary rear sight built into the back of the optic here, with the same exact iron sights on both, and it's about the same. I can just see the white dot poking out there. I don't try to co-witness my pistol dot, though, with my iron sights. It's just not how I was trained to use a dot. I basically come up with it slightly pointed up. I'm doing this exaggerated. Come down until the sight pops in. It's a trick that helps you. Try it if you're new to this stuff. Instead of coming up, where you can try to, do the old bobblehead looking for it. If you come up and slightly down as you're pushing it out, it just comes right into focus. So I'd say they're equal as far as co-witness on this particular, iron sight setup with the Tauruses. So I'm going to call them even there. Both of these do have a motion sensor, where if there's any amount of movement at all, it basically pops on instantly, or in such a small fraction of a second. You'd never get it in front of you before it's on. Trust me, it's really, really quick. They both do power down after a certain amount of time. to save you on some of that battery. As far as battery time, and this is a big apples to oranges thing across manufacturers, and you just have to read the fine print. So on paper, I did a little bit of research before this video on Holosun site. Now they say that the 407K has a 50,000 hour battery life on setting 6. And I believe there's 12 settings total on the Holosun. If it's 10, I'm sorry, I'm not like literally an expert on the Holosun. But on setting 6, which is kind of right in the middle there, 50,000 hours. Now I can tell you from my experience, this has done more setting than carrying because I own lots of pistols, but it has been carried a good bit too. This is the original battery from 4 years. 50,000 hours setting 6. Now, on paper, the OSIGHT, 63,000 hours. However, to be fair, that's on setting 3 out of 10. So 3 out of 10 versus setting 6 out of, I believe, 12. The first 2 settings on both of these are for like night vision, and then the rest of the settings are for daylight, dim daylight, cranking it all the way up to 10 if you were like literally in like the brightest sun possible. I still don't even know if I use 10, but they do have that capability. So I don't know, 63,000 hours on setting 3, 50,000 hours on setting 6. You could kind of do the math if you want and see which one might actually get more battery life in the end. Either way, they're both very impressive. Should last you a long time. Side loading batteries, so you're not going to have to take it off. You can pick up a whole strip or pack of batteries pretty cheap, so that's not like the hugest, deal for me. Now, I will say with warranty, I did notice this, and maybe Holosun's changed this because, again, I haven't bought a Holosun in the last couple years, but the OSIGHT, we did notice right away, has this lifetime warranty. Okay. Holosun, I think they revised their warranty in 2022, has a lifetime warranty-ish, meaning it's like lifetime warranty when it comes to like the housing and the structural portions. And I'm just summarizing this, but when it comes to the actual emitter itself, like the LED that puts out the light that is then illuminated, where you see it on the glass, it said 10 years. So this has kind of a lifetime, but kind of a 10-year warranty. Read the fine print, get your lawyer. It's always like that with warranties, right? But it appears that the OSIGHT does have a bit stronger warranty. I see lifetime here, and I don't see any asterisks, like only some of it's lifetime. But this is lifetime on portions of it, but 10 years on others. But 10 years is a long time, so you decide on that. I'm going to say probably, at least my plain reading of both warranties, and I didn't read it like a lawyer, I just kind of glanced at the brief part of it, right? It appears there's a slight edge on the warranty to the Holosun. Price, I kind of went over that earlier. MSRP, the OSIGHT's about 100 less than the Holosun. All right, so that's kind of a big deal. This does fall under a budget optic, but I'm comparing it to something that maybe Holosun's not looked at as complete top shelf, but I think it's been a brand that's been respected for a really long time. And I think at the very least, most people look at it as dang good. But as far as going side by side here, the OSIGHT is definitely competing with it in every category. And just an honest opinion, it's actually beating it in a few areas, for sure. And look, this is a completely unbiased review. Like literally, this is totally apples to apples. 4 years ago, okay, I got this pistol for test and evaluation. The Holosun was sent to me for T&E. I was not paid 1 penny to review this pistol or this sight. I've never been paid to review any guns or accessories, actually. We don't do that here. Well, here, this optic was sent to the channel for test and evaluation for review. Not 1 penny of money was paid to me. Nothing changed hands for the OSIGHT. So neither of them are sponsors insofar as writing me a paycheck. They did send me products to review, so there you go. That's my skin in the game for both. It sucks that you have to say that, but in the world we live in, there probably are some reviewers out there that the company that paid them more money would tell you which one they like better. There you go. Full disclosure, I didn't pay for either of these optics. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm looking at them side by side. The dot's just, you know, a decent amount cleaner. Noticeably cleaner. And the glass is clearer. I'm also noticing with the Holosun, and when you go outside in different light environments, this can change. There is a little bit of a, just kind of a grayish look through the glass. Here, although it does have a nice coating on the front, you can probably kind of see it reflecting in the light. It just looks a lot more clear. I mean, obviously there's like a teeny tint to it like there always is, but it is more clear in my opinion. Another cool little feature I noticed on this OSIGHT is it has like a low battery indicator. So the reticle is going to triple flash like once a minute when the battery voltage drops down to 2.2 volts, signaling it's time to replace it. Maybe I should have done more research, but I don't think the Holosun does that. Let me know in the comments if it does. Because again, I've had this for about 4 years. It's the original battery. It's still lit up nice and it is not flashing. And that's awesome though, that this OSIGHT K does have that low battery indicator. So you're not just like fine today and then dead in the water tomorrow. So that's a pretty cool feature that I don't think most of them have. Now I'm going to do one more comparison, then give you my overall final initial conclusion. Then we'll take these out to the range. As far as durability and what they were tested for as far as dust and water goes, let me digress for 1 second if you don't mind. I am actually a big fan of the enclosed emitters. Okay. Now this is a comparison between the Holosun 407K. I've had it for a while. A lot of you guys have one. Versus the new OSIGHT K. But I'm going to bring this in just to give you my opinion. I like the fully enclosed emitters better. And if all things were equal, I would pick the OSIGHT S or the OSIGHT SE, which are still available, okay? But keep in mind, the price is significantly less on the new K, the OSIGHT K, which might make this a lot more attractive for you there. So, that notwithstanding, I'm really starting to fall in love more and more with these enclosed emitter micro compact pistol dots. Let's move on to what we're comparing here. I would note that we're looking at an IPX6 rating on the OSIGHT. A quick summary of what that means. X means it actually wasn't rated for dust. Now, you can get dust in any open emitter. I already said I'm more of a fan of closed emitter, but as far as it actually, I mean dust like here that could get your glass or your screen, whatever you want to call it. Shout out to all the video gamers. You know, it's your glass, but shout out to all the younger guys out there. They're like, no, dude, it's my screen. I hear you, man. I hear you. So you can get dust in there, but what we're talking about is dust penetrating the actual innards of it, right? IPX6 means it was not rated. Now, this doesn't mean it won't withstand dust. Don't mistake what I'm saying here. I'm just talking about the industry standard ratings. IPX6. It wasn't rated for dust intrusion. And as far as water goes, it was rated for a high-pressure stream of water. Now, the Holosun is IP67 rating, which, as far as I know, is considered a little bit higher rating. So it is actually rated against dust intrusion. And it is rated to be submerged into a meter of water, which I believe is a little higher waterproof rating than being sprayed with a high pressure stream. I'm sure you guys will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but my real quick synopsis of that is the Holosun is a little bit higher rated when it comes to dust intrusion and submersion in water. But that is to not say, because I'm definitely not saying one way or another, because I just unboxed it in front of you right now. That is not to say dust is going to intrude itself down into the guts of this. It's not to say that if you dropped it in water that it would instantly fizzle out. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just going by what each manufacturer published. So for that, I do have to give the Holosun the +1 in that column for having that IP67 rating as compared to the IPX6 rating on the OSIGHT. So here's my initial impressions, and please let me know down there in the comment section what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. Share the video with your friends if you think it would help them. Okay, real quick answer is if I had to pick between the two right now, I like the OSIGHT better. That's like my real quick. Now look, this has to be because I don't know. I could come back in 4 years, but right now I have to put a little +1 on the Holosun because I've had it for 4 years. This, I think, comes out today to the public, so, you know, I couldn't have had the longevity with it and all that. But with that said, we're talking 100 bills cheaper. That's definitely something to take into account. They're offering an initial sale on this, making it a little sweeter. And in all fairness, though, sometimes they have sales on these as well. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to find this to be a lot more budget friendly. I do like how sleek the sides are. I do like the controls better. I do like how the glass is clearer on the OSIGHT. I do like that it's cleaner. So this is one of those like weird kind of comparisons where I ain't going to dog the Holosun. I mean, I don't want to because I've literally had this on here for 4 years. It's a decent optic, man. As far as the OSIGHT goes, though, I'm very impressed with the initial impressions. And if you need to pick up a new one, maybe you're on a little more of a budget. Maybe you just don't like Holosun at all. Well, then you're looking for another brand and might want to check one of these out. Even if you do like Holosun, though, you might want to check these out because I am noticing a distinct difference. And this site is just better to look through. And since that's what a site does, is how you look through it, yeah, that's kind of the overall thing for me. I really do like how it fits the gun. I do like that they have the lifetime warranty and all of that. So let me know what you all think. You know, a lot of people look at it as, you know, OSIGHT, OLIGHT. When they first came out with their first model, they kind of cross-marketed them. As far as I know, they're probably under the same parent company, but I think they are treating these as like totally separate entities with OSIGHT. Like, for example, when they shipped this to me, the return address said OSIGHT. They're relatively new to the optics game compared to people like Holosun and many others, but they've actually been making them now for a little while. And just every one after another. This is my 6th or 7th one. And every time I open it up and look through it, the glass always looks like awesome. Like about as good as I've ever seen. The reticle always looks awesome, about as good as I've ever seen. And when I say ever seen, like I've been to a lot of different shows and whatnot. And, you know, YouTube creator events where we can literally test like thousands of products over the weekend. I've shot a lot of different brands of stuff, and there are some good ones out there, but this is as good as anything when it comes to actually just looking through it. Like I said, I tried to give you the pros and cons, all of that. I'm probably in the camp of the OSIGHT S myself, because I really do like the rechargeable, or the OSIGHT SE. This is their newest offering. A little bit more of a budget deal, and yeah, man, I'm looking forward to getting these out there to do some shooting and some range testing, because I do like these Taurus pistols. Definitely like these Forge Tech holsters. And I have really good impressions of the new OSIGHT K. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long and thorough, but I know a lot of my viewers like the longer videos, and I enjoy hanging out with you all. Look, if you'd like to help support the channel, you are my sponsors. So check the links down there in the description for ways to help out the channel. I appreciate all my YouTube channel members, local supporters, Patreon. I do have a Cash App as well. And you guys will help, you know, fund the next range trip and all of that. I want to thank all of you for your support. And I will see you all again soon. All right. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.